Happy Halloween, Mad Tea Party. My name is Rabbit, and this is my co-host, Tiny Frank. Tiny Frank is dressed up for Halloween. Tiny Frank, do you want to tell him what you've dressed up as? That's right. He's a vampire hunter. And rightfully so, because today, we're going to be talking about the movie franchise, Bloodrayne. Did you know they made way too many of those movies? I think a movie like this requires a real salesperson to sell it to you. A real car salesperson. So here's what I believe that would look like. Hey, you like Bloodrayne, right? I've seen you playing it when you thought nobody was watching. Don't ask how. Well, I've got something that's gonna knock your plastic fangs off. That's right, for a limited time, you can be a part of history and own Bloodrayne the movie. It's got vampires, it's got hunters, it's got Mashar Rodriguez, Meatloaf, Billy Zane, Ben Kingsley. Really, Ben Kingsley? All of your I don't know why they agreed to do this actors star in this Halloween blockbuster. Get it now. Okay, so the movie takes place in the 1800s, where vampires are just a common problem, as we all know they were. So much so that a group of hunters known as the Brimstone Society make some kind of confusing living killing them. They get word of a real freak of nature who's traveling with a circus, who might just be one of the monsters they're after. Said freak is our protagonist, Reich, who is a result of some vampiric overlord, Mr. Ben Kingsley, taking advantage of a human woman, and it resulted in this hybrid freak. So I'm going to bring this up more than once. We're to believe that this has only happened like once in the history of ever, in a society full of vampires and humans. So she's special. So one night, our girl is assaulted in her cage, and she breaks loose. She has a blood rage rampage, and she kills everybody in her path, including her best friend, who was conveniently the owner of the iconic arm blades of hers. After getting word that a crazy damn fear is running the countryside killing people, Kagan here comes to the conclusion that she must be his daughter, because remember, there's only one, and orders her to be hunted down and stopped. By the way, the video game took place in World War II. So the Brimstone group show up at this devastated circus, and they just make things worse. They don't even give a dang, and nobody tries to stop them. They're just setting bodies on fire, and then they walk away. Okay, real quick, I'm just going to stop here for a minute and have you appreciate the amazing budget that this movie must have had for their props and costumes. Let's take a look. What is that, Spirit Halloween? Y'all are killing it. Speaking of killing it, Reich is running around the countryside now, killing a bunch of those pesky vampires and feeling really sorry for herself. Well, she's the cleanest looking person in the 1800s, so at least she's got that going on for her. She gets word that Kagan is her father, and she starts her quest to get revenge on the murder of her mother. And it just so happens the Brimstone jerks are also after the same guy. Now, wouldn't it be wacky if this half-vampire teamed up with a bunch of vampire hunters to go after... She does. Kagan is also after some artifacts that if he gets them, he'll get some incredible powers to be the ultimate vampire. But that's not super important, because 25% of this movie is sweeping shots of horseback riding on plains of wherever this is. At some point, Reich has to fight this thing. What is this thing? Are there goblins in this world and nobody thought to mention that? Is it a troll? We never see this thing ever again, by the way, in any of the movies. Nobody even brings him up. So after beating that thing, she has to figure out this puzzle to gain the first of 3 artifacts, and oh my god, this is just Tomb Raider now. To be fair, a lot of movies of that time did rip each other off, so it's on brand. She absorbs the artifact into her eye, and suddenly she's no longer vulnerable to holy water. Kagan's men show up, and we are rewarded with the goofiest deaths I've ever seen in a fight scene. Every time we see a fight like this, it's a lot of quick jump cuts. It's almost like nobody on set had any choreography training. They didn't. Anyway, Rain gets knocked out all willy-nilly and gets kidnapped. Sweeping shots of planes. She's taken to this vampire den where meatloaf is a thing for some reason.
I do not see him.
It looks like he's having fun at least. Good for him. So he tries to steal the eye from her face, but then her friends show up and save the day, and he's defeated before they take her away from there. They take her back to their headquarters where she's going to train with them to be a better fighter with no choreography training. But there's not enough conflict going on in this movie, so we're going to have Michelle Rodriguez's character be upset about her joining them for seemingly no reason.
All in good reason, I hope. There was a messenger killed in the monastery.
Michelle, how are you? I know you're watching this, so come here. Closer. I love you, but what is this accent? No, wait, don't go. Call me. Pointless training montage. See, that's why you don't get your swords at Party City. So at this point in the movie, I think the audience is getting bored, and apparently so was the director, because they threw in a pointless sex scene. There's a lot of instances where, like, big events will happen, but we only hear about it through flashbacks. It's when she escaped the circus, we didn't know about it until Kagan heard about it before showing us shots of it. So, like, it happened off screen, then we hear about it, and we have no idea what they're talking about, and then they show cuts of flashbacks of the event. It's almost like they knew this was a cheaper and easier way to film major events. Anyway, the headquarters gets attacked, and we don't know about it until we find out through flashbacks. Turns out Michelle's character was behind the attack because she has turned to the dark side. Rain finds her in the midst of grabbing the second artifact and murders her face off. Oh shoot. It's getting late. It's time for more sweeping shots of planes. So she shows up to Kagan's castle with the 2 remaining artifacts that he needs for ultimate power, and then she gets thrown into a dungeon. Why? She could have just as easily shown up with only one of those artifacts in her face that he needed and gotten thrown into a dungeon. But what do I know? I'm not a damn fiar. So they prepare her for the ritual of pulling her eye out of her face. The eye extracting ceremony. But her friends show up and save her ass yet again. And I'm so glad this epic climax fight scene has our main protagonist tied down. Finally, she's cut loose and we get this hilarious death. Hey Ben, could you emote just a smidgen more? You're at about a 2, bud. I need you at about a 5, at least. So Rain defeats her father in a motionless battle, and her love interest unfortunately dies. That's the guy she boned like a day before. That's her love interest. Yeah, he died, and you should feel sad. Sadness is the correct emotion at this point in time. With her father defeated, she takes up the throne as the ultimate vampire overlord, where I'm sure this is going to carry on into this sequel. It doesn't. Alright, I've heard your complaints. We're getting rid of all sweeping shots of the plains. 1800s make no sense? Don't worry, we'll make the second one take place in the Wild Wild West. You like that, right? Billy the Kid'll be there. And Rain, don't you worry, she'll be less involved in the fighting than ever before. That's what you wanted, right? None of the previous actors you could recognize are gonna be in this one. It'll be good. I swear. Appropriately named Bloodrayne 2 Deliverance, this one starts out with a good old-fashioned child abduction. Billy the Kid's a vampire, and he's got the most out-of-place accent in the wild, wild west.
Don't worry. You'll join them soon enough.
They're not quite as common as they were in the 1800s, but they're still kicking. So Billy rolls up into this town, and he murders a bunch of people and steals a bunch of children. You know, the huge. Now I wonder if there's any red-headed, hybrid human vampire girls who can come save the day. Hey, there she isn't. New Reign, who dis? Ah, I also see they updated her blades, and they look even more fake than the last ones. So Billy killed her friends, and she don't take too kindly to that, so she's off to wrestle her up some cowboy vampires. His gang took over the town of Deliverance, so Reign rolls up in there to play some cards, drink some whiskey, and generally be a woman wearing pants. There's even a standoff. The director was like, man, I really want to make a western, but all I can make is this stupid Bloodrayne series. We'll make it work. Anything can be a vampire, right? Zombie vampires, alien vampires, shark vampires? What were we talking about? Oh yeah, Reign gets thrown in jail. It's there she discovers that Billy is creating an army of vampires. Unlike the first one, we're actually turning people into vampires this time. She also discovers that there's a member of the Brimstone Society in jail with her. Yeah, they're still hanging around too, but only this guy.
You're Billy's lapdog. Folks out there are scared to do anything. Now, from what I can see, you're our last hope.
Aw, sick delivery, bro. So Reign escapes a hanging by pulling some Pirates of the Caribbean stunts and skips town. Her friend in jail isn't so lucky. But don't worry, I'm sure we'll see him in another life.
What?
Blood will help me heal.
You're a vampire?
Oh, so we're still casually believing that vampires are a thing? Cool. No, vampires? Oh, you can't throw a dart without hitting a vampire around here. Damn fears! Woman, you must have a touch of the fever if you believe that those creatures exist. No vampires ever gotten frisky with a human? Okay, fam. So Reign starts putting together her own posse, consisting of a good Samaritan, a very animated preacher, and an outlaw. That last one required her to be like this bubbly hooker in order to convince him, and she's actually pretty cute.
Look at you!
It's the only emotion we ever get from this character, so I'll take it. So now with her own posse, Reign rolls back on into Deliverance. Now you might be wondering what happened to the good people of this town, the people whose kids got taken away from them. Well, they're hiding out in a saloon complaining a lot. The gang splits up and Reign goes after Billy himself, who's locked himself in a room rigged with a trap so that when Reign walks in the door, she has to hold onto a rope or else a bunch of kids get... Next. So now this is the second time that our heroine is incapacitated during a major fight. Thank God. Meanwhile, it keeps cutting back to the townspeople going, we should go out there and help. Nah, we shouldn't go out there and help. We should really go out there and help. Yeah, maybe in about 10 minutes we might go out there and help.
Look, is this the one who has made your puny heart boil?
Bloodrayne, the series with out-of-place accents. Now here's where I admit some stuff. Zach Ward, who plays Billy, is convincingly creepy. The West is a refreshing change from the sweeping plains of the first movie. I'm over the 1800s, and you should be too. And Reign is pretty. That's it. Back to complaining. There's 15 minutes left in this movie, and our hero is stuck on a rope while the villain murders kids and threatens her. Looking good. The rest of her gang bravely dies, killing Billy's men. Yeah, nobody cares about the human characters. Where is Reign? The most epic shootout in the movie, the climax, if you will, and our hero is stuck in the most boring trap they could come up with. This rope thing goes on for 9 minutes. Even the townspeople start coming in to help at the very last moment. Finally off the rope thing, Reign starts fighting Billy and she's quickly getting her ass kicked, when out of nowhere a townsperson guns him down with a Gatling gun before she delivers the final stab to him. What a hero. 10 out of 10. Would call Reign again when my town's being attacked. Maybe they were trying to downplay her abilities so she wasn't Superwoman, but what did she really do in this movie? She put together a gang that did all the hard work, and then the main villain was gunned down by somebody else. Like, you guys didn't just play her abilities down, you made her useless. Anyway, she rides off into the dawn by herself to go be useless in another town. Alright, you didn't like the second one either. I get it. You know what? You're all too hard to please. That's it. Fine. We'll make the third one take place during World War II. The game took place during World War II, so why don't we do the same with the movie? You know what? You're lucky I didn't kill Reign off in the second one. Watch the movie. Alright, so this one's gonna require some code words, because if I say anything related to Germany during World War II, YouTube will demonetize me and deny me my silver play button. I'm sorry, what's that? Oh, they're already denying me my silver play button, so let's move on. So Reign stops a train of people headed to a certain camp and saves everybody, but not before accidentally turning one of the soldiers into a vampire. Again, this is the first time in her long life she's accidentally turned somebody into a vampire. That's fine. Okay. She also runs into a group of people who aren't, I don't think they're Brimstone because they're not going after vampires, they're just going after German soldiers of the time. This review is going to go a little bit faster because as the sequels go on, the plots are getting thinner and thinner. So it's Germany in World War II, there has to be an evil doctor, and hey, I recognize that guy. By the way, Reign is looking further and further from her video game counterpart each sequel, so we're on track there. She doesn't even have her forearm blades anymore, they're just these like really long knives or small swords that she uses. You guys took away everything iconic about this game by the time we got to the third movie. Not that it matters, I don't think anybody asked for 3 Bloodrayne movies. I would like to take a new video game, though, if you guys want to make one. So the soldier that Reign transformed is the main bad guy in this movie. He has the same abilities as Reign, and he's a very dangerous dude with the help of the doctor. But who cares about any of that? Let's put in a random sex scene in a brothel. So I will say that Reign is a little more useful in fights this time around. A bunch of soldiers show up to the bordello and attack them. They wing her with a bullet before she runs off, so she bleeds on the ground. The doctor picks up the blood, and they discover that Reign's blood gives vampires very, very important powers. Again, she's lived this long in a world full of vampires, and she doesn't manage to stay hidden very long, and yet nobody's discovered this and come after her for her blood. She's having these nightmares about that guy with the mustache. The one that Charlie Chaplin has. He's a vampire, by the way. I guess I should have mentioned that, but I don't think it really matters. We never actually see him in this movie. He's sort of just this scary end result of the soldiers trying to get Reign's blood to him so he can become this ultimate vampiric leader. That's really it. From here on out, it's just make sure Reign doesn't get caught and kill that soldier that she made, and we'll be done and out of here by lunchtime, right? Oh, I forgot. Reign gets caught all the time.
I'm surprised your kind has survived this long.
Hey, you're one to talk, Reign. Sit down. They adopted this really weird narration thing that she does every now and then. I'm not sure why it's needed.
How many have I cut down? How many of the unholy have I slaughtered?
Sorry, I'm getting nitpicky. They find an abandoned factory full of these vampires that the soldier created and start murdering them all, only to be defeated, and what a shock, Reign gets captured. So they have our heroes now, and they put them in a truck and start transporting them to, the guy with the stash. And you wouldn't believe it, there's another sex scene in there. I mean, come on. But with the help of the resistance, the trucks are ambushed and Reign is freed. I don't remember relying this much on my friends in the game. Friendship solves everything. Bloodrayne. I don't care. Why don't we just make another one? You know what I mean? Why don't we just take the last movie and then we make a shot-for-shot remake, but we replace Reign with like an obese woman, And then we make like a lot of insensitive fat and gay jokes. And then we'll call it... Hey, I'd be lying if I said I didn't watch it, and now I can't unsee it. Are these the worst movies I've ever seen? No. Well, I mean, Blubberella is. But I think after the first one, everybody realized that this is just a scam. I'm not mad. I'm just... disappointed. Anyway, thank you for joining me on this wonderful Halloween. I hope you're all safe out there. And please, squish that like button, subscribe for more true horror and occasional movie reviews, and join me next time when Tiny Frank kills 50 vampires with his bare paws.